Hey there, in section 2 we're going to cover a lot of ground, so we're just going to jump right into it. This may be the longest PowerPoint or presentation that we do this semester. Public relations is a little bit different, as we've learned before, than other professions. There is no official requirement to enter the profession. Like for a medical doctor, you have to take the medical board exams. Engineers, there's an exam. Accountant, lawyers, there's exams to enter those professions. So we're going to address in your readings and in the things that you'll watch this section. Is there anything that would prohibit a company from hiring you? Since there is no entrance requirement, we'll learn that yes, there are. There are some general guidelines in order to work as a PR professional, and that can be found in the PRSA Code of Conduct. PRSA stands for Public Relations Society of America. You will read that Code of Conduct as part of this section. As part of acting as a responsible member of society, there's this term called corporate social responsibility. You'll watch a Walmart video and we'll address the idea of, well, do corporations that exist to make profit have an obligation to society to give back in some way? Or are these corporate social responsibility efforts just another way to make money? Almost like doing good to do well. And is that okay? We'll talk about the balance between shareholders, those who hold stock in a company, versus stakeholders, those who are interested in the success of the company. They're two different things, shareholders and stakeholders. When we talk about ethics, I'm going to have you watch a video about apples and alar, which was a chemical that apples used to be sprayed with. Take some time, go through the examples here on this slide, because you'll need it as you watch the video. Just briefly, there was a PR campaign that this alar company paid this David Fenton to run, saying that people could get cancer from this alar chemical that was sprayed on apples. This PR campaign destroyed the apple industry, when in reality, in order to get any kind of cancer from this chemical, a child had to drink 5,000 gallons of apple juice per day for the rest of their life to even be at risk for cancer from this chemical. And one of your responses, your discussion response questions, I'll ask you, well, what's wrong here, after you watch the video? We'll talk about legal things that we need to be aware of. Excuse me, I got a runny nose today. We'll talk about legal things that we need to be aware of. You'll read about First Amendment issues. What is commercial speech? Talk about some things that are required to be disclosed by public companies as far as investor relations. The Securities and Exchange Commission requires certain communication. We'll talk about the legalities and how to address labor relations. This is workforce relations. And we'll also address libel and slander, things that could get you in trouble as a public relations person. Next, we'll get into theory. Why does communication have an effect, really? We'll have you watch a video about adaptation and variation and how this applies to public relations, because the job of PR people is to help organizations adapt to their environment so they can survive. You'll be introduced to systems theory. Become very familiar with this graphic here. Like the digestive system, I know this is kind of a gross example, but like the digestive system that monitors what comes in and goes out of your body, so too do organizations have PR people that monitor what goes in and what goes out. We'll talk about the difference between open and closed systems, proactive versus reactive systems, and why, we'll define this term two-way symmetrical communication. Dissemination of information is different than communication, right? In a personal relationship, don't you hate it when somebody does all the talking and you don't get to say anything? It's kind of the same. Two-way communication means each party is communicating, and symmetrical means there's an equal amount and value and quality of communication. This goes right back to systems theory. Okay, what goes in, the communication from other parties, determines what goes out. It's two-way symmetrical. Again, become familiar with this graphic. Become familiar with this graphic. This is kind of an overview of a basic mass communication theory that talks about a communicator encodes a message, uses a channel to send the message. The person encodes the message, and there's noise and things that affect the meaning of the message and how it's received. You will read in the book about 4 major categories of media effects. Media can change perceptions. It can tell you what to think about. It can increase the awareness of information among your publics. And it can let you know what the support for an issue is among key publics. This I want you to become very, very familiar with as well. You'll find this in the book, figure 11.1. What this is the public relations planning process. First is research, this top right corner here. It says situation analysis, we'll talk about that. PR planning and PR campaigns always start with research. That research drives the strategy, the plan, the PR plan. This is implementing the plan, and this is evaluating the plan. How did we do? That evaluation, again, influences research, because you need to know what happened with the last PR plan to know how you should change it, which it's a circle, it's a cycle. Again, become very familiar with this. This has been what I've based my entire career off, is this little diagram. So we'll talk about research, what's primary research, what's secondary research, and then we'll get into a case study. I'm going to kind of flip through these slides pretty quickly here, but take some time to look at these slides. You may have heard of the Dove Real campaign for real beauty. Okay, Dove was suffering financially back in 2004. They did a bunch of research about women. So take some time, look at these statistics. More research, take some time, look at these statistics. Basically, women don't feel attractive, is what the research found. So they created a campaign that says, hey, we're going to increase Dove sales by involving consumers in helping women feel better about themselves and girls feel better about themselves. So you may have seen some of these in the past. A few examples of what came of their campaign. I'm going to flip through these here. This campaign helped turn around. Oh, here's a Super Bowl commercial that I'm going to have you watch. The campaign turned sales around. In fact, Dove experienced a 3-to-1 return on investment. They invested $100 million into this campaign, but they got $300 million back out of it. I'll have you evaluate this campaign and provide some responses about it. In 2007, profits were back to normal, and Dove created a new campaign. Think about that, and I'll ask you about that as well. At the same time, Unilever owns Dove, but they also own Axe. I'll have you watch a commercial or two here and ask you to respond to what you think about. Is there any ethical consideration that Unilever, or ethical responsibility that Unilever has? They're sending mixed messages. Okay, we'll get back into this planning process again. How we start with research, planning, implementation, and then evaluation. Take some time. Be sure you know this chart, this graph here, and the process, because we're going to dive right into then each step, each of the 4 areas of the PR planning process, which starts with research. You're going to need to know, how do you do background research, and how do you take that to create what's called a situation analysis. It's a 1-paragraph statement of the problem. That paragraph, that situation analysis becomes the central core of difficulty, and your campaign goal is based on this 1-sentence statements of the heart of the problem. In fact, the campaign goal is the exact opposite of the central core of difficulty. So your research creates this definition upon which your campaign goal is based. You'll learn all about this in the reading. And we'll also learn about identifying publics that need to be reached in order to accomplish the campaign goal, and what resources are available to help you reach that campaign goal. That's section 2. Quite a bit, I know. But jump into it. Let me know if you have any questions. I think you'll learn a lot this time. Have fun with it, and I look forward to our discussions.